How's it going, everybody? It's Brian here, and I just finished meditating, and I'm feeling pretty cool. I don't know if you meditate. Comment below if you do. It's something that I still don't understand sometimes. I always feel better afterwards, but I always wonder if that's just the placebo effect. But one of the main things about meditation and why you should consider doing it is just that it helps you become more present. And present is essentially just kind of being here. It's actually one of the reasons why I like doing videos, because they force me to be present. That's why I like playing StarCraft, because they force me to be present. That's why I like Magic the Gathering, because they force me to be present. That's why I love hard training. I've just kind of been off my hard training game. It forces you to be present. When the weight's heavy enough and you push yourself, you're present, right? Nothing can distract you, and it requires an incredible amount. I mean, just think about how much is required of you to really just focus on one thing. Kind of like when you're training a client. Not even, I wouldn't say training a client, because I will, my mind will wander. But when you're like making a sale with a new person or training a new client, that's sort of when you're like on game time, right? Um, one thing, a reason why I make this video is because I wanted to actually talk about this situation I had online. I made a kind of a douchebag comment on someone's question, and I kind of rubbed them the wrong way. I didn't mean to. I meant it in a good way, but looking back, I just came off as a douchebag. And there was this quote that I listened to today that was really good. It was, it's much harder to be kind than it is to be clever. It's much harder to be kind than it is to be clever, because what does it mean to be clever anyway, right? It's basically making yourself look good, making yourself look smart, making yourself look witty, funny, interesting. It's really just an ego boost. I mean, you do it because it's fun at the same time, but on other parts, you're just kind of being a borderline asshole if you don't become an asshole, which is basically what I did when I made this comment. Basically, what the comment was is he asked this question about something he was making. He wanted to sell them. They're like little 3D printed, like little light lamps. And I said, "Who is it for?" And it was kind of out of place, I guess. And I probably should have thought about it more. And then a few days later, someone commented it, and of course, I went to review the stream and I reread it, the thread, and I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, I gave him a suggestion on how he can sell more of them," and he kind of responded to me in a very abrasive way, and it's understandable. I came across in a mean way, and it's kind of hard to sometimes realize it at the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm sharing this with you because at the moment he responded, I immediately wanted to be defensive. I mean, you can already tell when someone's messaging you, and you can feel the aggression. Sometimes you can be off, but this time I knew I wasn't, so I just apologized, and you know, and he basically had some snarky remarks, kind of like me, trying to be witty, trying to be smart, and I think it's just something that we kind of all do sometimes. But I'm bringing this up because throughout this process of him telling me this, or a conversation to me, I apologize. I told him what I was doing, because anyways, I guess to cut to the chase, the point is that during this process, I felt this kind of anxiety, or maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe it's more like fight or flight emotion. It's sort of that feeling when if you're making a sale or trying to close somebody on a sale, you get to that point where you're like, you're afraid to ask. You don't know what to do if they say no, or if they make an objection. It's kind of like that. It's sort of that feeling. But when it's not a sale, that's business. When you're just kind of doing personal interaction and there's nothing really like on the line, like a business transaction, it's just a kind of a social transaction. Um, there's that kind of part of me, which I talked about in my previous video. It was called the Everything Store. It was the last video. But I said, there's this part of me that just wanted to like say, fuck you, right? I just wanted to just like, whatever, and or whatever, or not even say it, maybe not the F word, but maybe wanted to just be more, uh, basically be defensive, and try to defend my position and prove that I'm right. And I think that's the hardest part about this whole human interaction thing, is just having this desire to always be right. And so I have to admit that I'm wrong, and then you have to accept that you're wrong, in their eyes, and you have to validate them, you know. Anyways, the biggest reason why I bring this up, because it's just like when you get these emotions, right, that you forget about them, right? Because then when you look back, you're like, I don't even understand why I was mad. I don't even understand why I felt that way. We feel that way about a bunch of other things. Like you're really hungry, or you see something you want to eat and you eat it, and then later on you feel, man, I wish I didn't eat that, or you know, or I should have done this, right? It's either you forget to do something or you don't understand why you feel something. And I'm sharing it with you in this video because it's sort of like a kind of a journal for me, but it helps me recognize that I'm learning to make the better decision. Sometimes people call it taking the high road, maybe making or being an adult, maybe growing up. Uh, you can say it's like just being the better person. And I don't even like the better person, because that already just, that's all ego against, like, oh, I'm better than that person. And even though this person's mad, you know, again, the whole idea is understand. It's just, again, I'm sharing this because I have to keep repeating myself, because I'm trying to see myself in action. Like I'm trying to like detach myself and then watch myself do dumb shit, right? And then observe myself, not as a like justifying, oh, what I did was right or what I did was wrong. It was just more like to observe myself and seeing kind of how I can do better next time, because that's really what it is, right? Because you know, when you're emotional, when you have your emotions, you can go either way. You can make the good decision or a bad decision. It's kind of like, you know, guns, right? And people who shoot people, and I don't know, I'm just using some random examples, but just people who make bad decisions when they're in a situation, and emotions override you, and they make you want to, and they cloud your judgment, and you have to, and it's practice, right? You get better at making um, good decisions during pressure times. Anyways, that's what I want to talk about. Hope you enjoyed that video. Leave a comment if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.